Great rising all. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. I'm your host, Chase Steele Gray. And for a moment there, I was like, who am I? I'm Chase Steele Gray. All right, there we go. Welcome all to the Daily Huddle. We have an amazing program for you as we always do. And before we get started, I wanted to start today out with a quote instead of a joke. And this quote hit me. It's so simple, but it makes so much sense. The quote is by a man named Naval Ravikant. I urge you to research this guy, Naval Ravikant. And the quote is, "A fit body, a calm mind, a house full of love. These things cannot be bought. They must be earned." Roll that tape. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Welcome once again to the Daily Huddle. I am Chase Steele Gray, joined by the wonderful Giovanni and Sorrell as well in the background. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here as well. So, listen, these topics that we have in the Daily Huddle are undoubtedly life-changing. And today we have a wonderful return guest. His name is Dan Cornett. But before we get to Dan, I want to check the temperature in the room with our people as we always do. And today, I'm going to start with Kurt. Kurt, how are you and who will you hug today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much. And it was great to be here at the Daily Huddle. And the hugs today go to my wife and daughter.
Nice, nice. I like it. I like it. Miss Tara Heaton, looking like you're going on a special mission undercover today. That's spectacular.
Just outside on my porch.
I like it, Tara. Go do it. Okay, I'm on my way. Where are you and what are you grateful for today?
Oh, thank you. I am right here with my family at the Daily Huddle.
Spectacular.
And what am I grateful for today? I am grateful for coaches.
Grateful for coaches. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for being here, Smiley. And wow, I wanted to get right to this topic because we have a lot to discuss. And of course, the topic may have thrown some of you off today if you're not familiar with this, but the topic is, how does Ozempic help people lose weight and what are the risks involved? Now, if you had not joined us before and you did not see our guest, his name is Dan Cornett. I'll tell you a little bit about him before we get into the conversation. Dan is a former corporate sales representative who turned to nutrition when his stressful career left him obese with multiple chronic diseases, including cancer. After following the guidance of a nutrition coach, Dan was able to reverse his conditions and regain control of his life and his career. This experience inspired him to gain a certificate or certification from the Nutritional Therapy Association. And since 2018, Dan has helped hundreds of people like us to revitalize their lives through the power of optimal nutrition and sustainable lifestyle changes. So we have something fun to talk about today outside of the topic. And Dan is going to lead us into that. Grand Rising, sir. Great to see you once again.
Absolutely. Good morning, Chase. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this topic today. I think it's going to be maybe a little eye-opening for some people, but yeah, and actually Sorrell posed this question to me last week, and he read a text message to me that he got from a friend of his and asked, what do you think about Ozempic? And that kind of got me thinking. I was like, hey, I know a lot of people are thinking about this as a weight loss option for them. And I want to kind of go into the detail a little bit and just kind of explain what it's all about and how it works in the body, and maybe some alternatives that are still out there as well. So awesome. So I think the question that a lot of people have is Ozempic this new, magic weight loss pill, right? That everyone's been waiting for. Is it the thing that's just gonna, you can just take and not have to worry about it and lose weight without having to diet or exercise or do any of the hard work, right? Well, I think from all reports that I've seen, is that it does seem to do the job, that, people are seeing weight loss within a week or two of using it. And kind of the average reduction is usually about a 15% reduction of body weight, which is actually some really great results that are coming from it, right? But the reality is that there is no magic pill, right? There's no magic drug
Definitely.
that's going to get you those results, because if it was a magic pill or a magic drug, right, you would get those results without side effects, right? And unfortunately, pharmaceuticals that are coming out like Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro are all kind of the same ingredient in those, just different names with them. They all come with a laundry list of side effects, right? And risks that are involved for those that choose to take it. So I just want to kind of talk about that and, again, just kind of expose some of those things to you, just so that way you're aware, right? When you make these decisions with your personal care doctor, whether it's right for you, right? So before we get into some of those side effects that I was talking about is, I just want to talk a little bit about how these drugs work and how they interact in the body, right? So again, just let me start off by saying that I'm not a medical doctor here, and what I'm providing today is not medical advice, and it's solely just meant to educate you on these drugs so that you and your primary care doctor can make a decision about what's best for you, okay? So the active ingredient in those weight loss drugs, Ozempic and Wegovy, is called semaglutide, right? So it's a once per week injectable drug that increases the levels of a hormone called glucagon-like peptide 1, or reduced down to GLP-1. And basically what that does is it slows down digestion, and which is going to decrease your appetite and your cravings, right? So we have these GLP-1 receptors in our brain and in our nervous system. So basically these drugs actually suppress your natural hunger signal. So it essentially tricks your body into thinking that it's still full from the previous meal, which makes you not hungry, right? So you're not as hungry as often, so then you're going to eat less, right? So if you're eating less, obviously you're going to lose weight. And it's also been shown to improve insulin resistance, right? Which can help to manage type 2 diabetes. So those of you that maybe watched my show a couple of weeks ago with you guys talked about how to improve insulin resistance, right? Naturally, but this is one way to do it through a prescription drug if you'd like to choose that way. But, all this sounds really great, right? But as is the case with most prescription medications, they do not address the root cause of the condition, right, that they're trying to treat. So the way I like to relate that is like to say, for instance, that you're out in nature, right? You're on a hike and you get a rock in your shoe and it's causing you pain every single time you take a step, right? You're not just going to pop an Advil, keep on walking, right? Now you're going to take your shoe off and you're going to get to the root of the problem, right? Which is the rock. So since these drugs are not addressing the root cause, they're never going to reverse your actual condition, right? So because in the mind of these pharmaceutical companies, a condition reversed is a customer lost, right? And they're one of the biggest businesses in the entire world. So they're not in the business of healing you, right? They're in the business of, continually keeping you on these medications, right? So, and that's the thing, if you do stop taking Ozempic, you're likely going to regain, all, if not more, most or more weight, than you lost, right? And this is due to some new research that's coming out showing that although Ozempic reduces the size of your fat cells, it likely increases the amount of fat cells in your body. So if you do stop taking the drug, you're going to have more fat cells in your body, so that when you do stop taking it, that you're going to eventually gain all that weight back, right? Because you have more fat cells in your body that are going to fill up, right? So that's going to result in some extra pounds. So you're going to have to basically inject yourself with Ozempic once a week for the rest of your life to maintain this weight loss, right? So that's your easy way out, right? If you want to do it the easy way, inject yourself with this drug every single week for the rest of your life. And you might actually lose some weight and you might be able to maintain that. However, there's a cost, right? So like all prescription drugs out there, Ozempic comes with a laundry list of side effects that you're going to have to manage for the rest of your life as well. So, or, if you do take this drug, then you might have to take additional drugs to suppress the side effects from the original drug, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of how the pharmaceutical company works, right? So side effects that have been reported are nausea, vomiting, bloating, abdominal pain, headaches, gas, constipation, diarrhea. And from some of the videos I've seen of people, it's been explosive diarrhea, not super fun, a lot of heartburn and dizziness, right? So, and those are some of the more minor side effects that have come out, but major side effects are, it's been connected to thyroid cancer, suicidal thoughts, pancreatitis, kidney disease, gallbladder issues, muscle loss, which is really big. That's kind of the whole Ozempic face thing. If you've heard about that on social media, your people's faces are starting to get kind of like sunken in and that kind of thing. A lot of that's because of muscle loss in the body. And then there's also a condition called gastroparesis. And this is where food does not empty from your stomach like it should. So one of the things that Ozempic does is that it slows down digestion, right? Like I talked about. So it kind of keeps food in your stomach for longer periods of time, which makes you, again, feel like you're more full for a longer time, which does cause you to lose or cause you to not eat as much, but it also causes your food to start to ferment and break down and putrefy, even like in your gut, in your stomach. And that's going to cause gas, right? Because gas is a side effect of fermentation, right? So especially if you're eating a carb heavy diet, those carbs are going to break down in your stomach and they're going to start to ferment, and that's going to cause gas, and that's going to push everything up into your esophagus. And that's where some of that heartburn and vomiting and bloating comes from, right? And so the other big thing too that comes with Ozempic is that there are no long-term studies on this drug at all. So a lot of times when these drugs come out, they rush them to the market. They don't do long-term studies on them, and they somehow pass FDA inspection, right? So there's really no long-term studies on this. So you really don't know what you're getting with this. So as I mentioned before, we have those GLP-1 receptors in our brain, right? Well, we also have them in a lot of our other organs throughout the body. They're located in our kidneys. They're, in our gut, all of our digestive organs. They're in our heart and our lungs and also our immune system. So no one really knows what the effect are of these drugs on our organs long term. So definitely something to consider if you are thinking about taking Ozempic. The other factor to consider is the cost, right? So Ozempic is extremely expensive, costing $1,000 to $1,200 a month sometimes. And if you have type 2 diabetes, odds are your insurance is going to cover that. But if you're using it strictly for weight loss, most insurance companies won't cover that. And you're going to have to pay for that out of pocket. So another big thing to consider there is the cost. But essentially what Ozempic is doing here is they're profiting off the idea that your hunger and food cravings are too powerful for you to overcome, right? And that makes hunger the bad guy. But hunger is a natural sign, right? We shouldn't be trying to suppress our hunger. We should be listening to our bodies and understanding what that's trying to tell us, right? We've also been told for over 60 years that all you have to do is eat less and exercise more, and you're going to lose weight, right? But with obesity rates that are reaching 50% of the population, we can already see how well that advice is working out, right? So, there definitely is way more to weight loss than calories in, calories out. But when you focus on eating nutrient-dense foods rather than just empty calories from processed foods, not only do you start to lose weight, but you're actually going to address the true root cause behind your weight gain and the chronic diseases, which really is diet and lifestyle when it comes down to it. And that's been mentioned by the CDC before in the past. So, they really are starting to harp on that as well, showing that diet and lifestyle is really the driver of these weight gain, of obesity, and chronic diseases. So that's what I have on Ozempic. I don't know if you guys have any questions. If you do, go on ahead, and if you want to go ahead and open me up to share my screen, I can move on to the second portion of the presentation here as well.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We're good.
And there we go. All right, perfect. You can see, I'll see the screen. We're looking good.
Looking good.
All right, cool. So with that, I wanted to transition into some alternatives, right, to Ozempic. And I think the best way to showcase that is to see how real food interacts with the body, right? And I think we as a country have gotten to the point where we rely way too much on processed foods, sugars, fast food, convenience foods, all those things that are just kind of readily available to us. And we don't take the time to plan, to prep our meals, to really, have community around our food as well, I think is really important, because we're so fast paced, on the go all the time, right? We don't ever have time to sit down with our families, enjoy a full meal, and talk to each other, right? Very, very, very big deal. So this is an idea that Sorella and I kind of came up with together to offer to the Daily Huddle family here, is a fall healthy eating challenge, right, for y'all. So this is going to be a fun thing for y'all to participate in if you'd like. But again, I just want to talk about some of the conditions, right, that are out there, and just how I guess pervasive this is in the world right now, is that over 34 million people have diabetes. 88 million more have prediabetes. So that's, again, the elevated blood sugar, where, if you watched my presentation a couple of weeks ago, where you had that elevated blood sugar that stays up there, right? It doesn't come back down. You kind of stay at that, in that elevated blood sugar range. And again, that's going to cause a lot of trauma in the body. And heart disease, huge as well. 1 in 3 deaths in the US right now is caused by heart disease. And again, 42% of all adults being obese, that's projected to be over 50% by 2030. So we're only a few years away from that, and it's continually going up and up and up. And then children, of course, more and more children are starting to get obese at a younger age, and they're starting to get type 2 diabetes as well at younger ages, 7, 8, 9 years old, which is really crazy. And cancer, of course, huge as well. 38% of all adults will be diagnosed with cancer at some point in their life. Me being one of those, I relate to that. I understand the scariness that comes with that, and just the fear that's wrapped around that. And, I think a lot of these conditions have, I would say, a genetic component to it. But what I really want to get across to y'all is that genetics might be what loads the gun of whatever disease it is that you're genetically susceptible to, but it's your diet and your lifestyle that's going to actually pull the trigger, right? And that's going to actually get you over the top to reach that disease state. So it's just something to kind of think about there. And then chronic disease, rampant throughout the world, right? And it's kind of concentrated more here in the US, but it's really a global problem, in the sense that 6 in 10 people across the US have a chronic disease. And again, chronic disease is going to be anything from heart disease to diabetes, to Alzheimer's, kidney disease, all those kind of things that we are seeing more and more within the last 30, 40, 50 years than we ever saw in human history. And the crazy thing is that 4 in 10 adults have 2 or more of these conditions. And you can see right there from the CDC saying, obviously, tobacco use is big, but tobacco use is plummeting, right? More and more people are quitting quitting cigarettes every day, right? But it's really the middle two, I think, that are the biggest components of this, right? It's poor nutrition and it's a lack of physical exercise, because we're doing this all day, right? We're sitting in front of our computers, we're working, we're more technology driven these days than we ever have been before, right? So these are just kind of things that we need to be aware of, and how can we start to reverse these trends? So I think one of the best ways to reverse these trends is to start to eat more real foods, right? So the main thing is sugar and processed foods, processed carbs in particular, cause inflammation throughout the body, right? And this inflammation is really the root cause of majority of these chronic conditions. So inflammation gets in your body, it causes a lot of havoc, and this kind of puts an extra stress on your body. And then extra stress can lead to weight gain and a lot of those other conditions we just talked about. So one of the main ways to help heal from a lot of this, right, is to fuel your body properly with a proper ratio of macronutrients that are going to be, your healthy fats, making sure you're getting enough protein, and then balancing that with healthy carbohydrate sources. And then switching again back to that healthy fats portion of it is, we as a country consume way too much of the omega-6 fatty acids. Those are coming from a lot of your vegetable oils, your canola oils, processed seed oils, those kind of things, and not enough of the omega-3 fatty acids, which you're going to get from things like salmon and nuts and seeds, those kind of things. So you're going to get a lot of, so basically omega-3 is your anti-inflammatory, and your omega-6 is inflammatory. So we're getting way too many of these inflammatory fats in our bodies and not enough of the anti-inflammatory fats. And then, making sure that we're choosing organic vegetables, right, and fruits, and then grass-fed meats as well. We need a little bit of that in our bodies in order to combat that inflammation. So what I wanted to present to y'all here in the Daily Huddle family is this fall healthy eating challenge. So what it's going to be about is, it's going to be 7 days of no sugar and no processed foods. So I know, which can be scary if you've never done anything like this before, but I think it's a great kind of Kickstarter, especially before we get into the holidays here, of, just really paying attention to your body and how your body responds to that. There might be a day or two where you feel a little bit tired and lethargic, but then once you get through that, you're going to feel like $1 million. You're going to have so much energy, I promise. So basically how we're going to do this is I'm going to provide for you guys 3 weeks of 1 hour long live support meetings. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people to sign up for this, and we'll all be in this together. So it'll be a group support environment. So which really helps because it's really hard to make these kind of changes on our own, right? So I'm going to guide you through transitioning into a real food diet, and give you some guidance and some education along the way, but really kind of open it up as a Q&A for y'all to kind of just pick my brain and just understand how we can make these changes and why they're important to us, right? So we'll learn all about the dangers of processed foods. And outside of these meetings, you're going to have access to a private chat forum, right? So everybody that signs up for this, you guys are going to be able to talk to each other. So if you're experiencing something specific, say you're having trouble getting your kids on board on something like this. I don't have kids, so it's always great to pop in on here and ask the people that do have kids, hey, how do I get, my daughter to stop eating sugary cereal and start eating, fruits and vegetables in the morning, something like that. So that's a great supportive option for y'all to be able to join in on that. And what you guys are going to get as well is that you're going to have access to really the most up-to-date nutrition education available that's out there, right? And, be able to break down some of those myths that are out there and have really been pervasive in the nutrition industry for a long time, but, might not necessarily be true. So we'll break down some of those myths for you. You're going to get some colorful weekly learning materials that I'll send out every week for you. So that way you have something to take away from that and learn from. And I'm also going to provide for you a 7-day meal plan, all set up for you. So you don't have to worry about what to eat. You can just follow this meal plan. It's going to be sugar-free. It's going to, remove a lot of the processed foods and common allergens that are out there as well that put extra stress on the body. And then again, we're gonna have that chat forum on here. There's a visual of that on here, so you can kind of see what people chat about in these groups. And you're gonna have access to Practice Better. So it's a really cool app that I use to manage my clients. And so you can jump on there and you can start logging your food on there. You can log your exercise. You can track your sleep and your bowel movements, which we'll talk about as well, which is really important. Something that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's a really key marker of your health. And one of the main things that is really important in this is that it's support, right? And it's giving you the support that you need to make a lot of these changes in your life. And research has shown that having an accountability partner makes you 65% more likely to hit your goals, whatever that is, whether that's in business, whether that's health related, whatever it is. If you have someone there helping you along, you're 65% more likely to hit your goals. And when you regularly check in with your partner, that increases up to 95%, you guys. I mean, that's amazing. Can you think of anything else where you're basically guaranteed 95% success, right? Very, very hard to find those kind of numbers. But when you have that support, when you have someone like me here helping you along and support group of your peers, you're going to have that 95% to actually hit your goals, which is really, really cool. So what you're about to get here is I'm going to give you guys all a 20-minute phone consultation where we'll talk about your goals, how to help you get along that, and just kind of answer any questions that you might have individually, right? So outside of the group environment, something individually that you guys can all work on. I'm going to give you, again, that 7-day customized meal plan. I'm going to do a complete and nutritional analysis with you, have you fill out some forms to understand where you're at and what your goals are, and provide you with a supplement plan as well. And, supplements are really important. They're a way to kind of further along your health and kind of expedite that in a faster way. And then you're going to get access to that group chat as well, which normally would be a total value of $447. But today, for daily huddle listeners only, I'm going to slash that price and bring it down to just one payment at $99. So it makes it really affordable, really just something where you can jump in, spend 3 weeks really focusing on your health and, finding what it is that's going to drive you to further success. So if this sounds like something you all are interested in joining up, send me an email at dan@dancornettnutrition.com. That's DAN at DANCORNETNUTRITION.com. So send me an email there and I will send you the link to register and get all set up there. And we'll go from there and see what everyone thinks about the program and get set up. Do you guys have any questions or anything else you want to fill in before we wrap up here?
Powerful information. I'm amazed by some stuff. Wanted to ask you a gazillion questions, but I'm perfectly happy being your bookend today because that information was key and so powerful. I have 20 questions. Believe it. It's incredible.
Can you put the email in the chat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll put the email in chat.
If no one has any questions, we are.
Dan, I do have a question. When does the challenge start? And
that's a good thing to think about.
To register.
Yes. So we're going to start this in a couple weeks. So October 16th is going to be the first day of the program. So we'll, depending on how many people sign up, I might do multiple meetings throughout the week. So otherwise, I'll put out calendar tags to everybody and just let everyone know when those meetings are going to be. But yeah, we're going to do, again, once a week, we're going to do 1 hour long meetings, and those will be recorded and put onto Practice Better. So if you're not able to attend the live meetings, then you can always access the recordings through the platform. So yeah, send an email again to me and I will get you all registered and ready to go on that. And I'm just excited to see your guys' results and answer any questions that y'all have as far as how to get set up, eating a real food diet and, really kind of getting rid of all those processed foods and sugars that are out there, which are really driving, any weight gain, any chronic diseases, elevated blood sugars, all those kind of things that so many of us are experiencing and struggling with every day. And not only are you going to, eventually correct a lot of those conditions that you have, you're also going to boost energy levels. You're going to be way more productive. You're going to have way more creativity going on in your brain, and you're just going to be a better human all around, right? You're going to be a better employee. You're going to be a better father, mother, brother, son, daughter, whatever it might be, right? You're just going to be happier and healthier. And that's the biggest change that I see in people.
Excellent. Excellent job. So that's our time. Wow. That was a powerful presentation. Thank you so much for that, Dan Cornett. We look forward to that. It's going to be quite a ride, I believe.
Awesome.
For most people. As always, we end with our tenets that we love to leave you with so that you can go out into the world a better human being. As Dan Cornett said, you can be a better human. So first of all, love more than you normally do. Live out loud, of course, right? Take a little bit more, push a little bit harder, right? Move the body. And of course, sign up for this challenge, you'll be able to do that a lot easier. I'm thinking yes on that one, right? Also, the sleep, of course, we talk about that all the time. 5 to 7 hours, 8 to 9 if you're a rock star. That will change it all. Of course it will, right? Eating mostly plant-based. People confuse this because most people probably don't eat all plant-based, but mostly plant-based will definitely push along everything in such a more fluid fashion, as well as just in general, just being, as we said, healthier and a better person, right? Also, stress less. It's just easier to stress less. Choose that option. Definitely, things are a lot differently. And last but not least, please check yourself before you wreck yourself. This has been the Daily Huddle. I'm Chase Still Gray. Thank you so much, Dan, and everyone that's joined us today. It's been very powerful. The information is very eye-opening. Have a spectacular day, everybody. Be well.
Very cool. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.